sithokoze emakhosini, sithokoze koRadebe, koBhungane, komthimkhulu. Sibonga umkhulukhulu, sibonga umvelinqangi, sibonga uNomkhubulwane. Thina esisindisiwe, esasindiswa kudala abantu base-Afrika. Today, I'm posting this because of thina ezabantu abamnyama. We as black people, we are scared of talking about a religion and how Christianity and Islam has affected us, and how some of the stories that we read about in my Bible, they don't make total sense to us, but still we read it and we scared to question it, because of to question the church is to question the Lord. So today I dedicate this to my saviors, the people who were willing to die for me, even though this is not the freedom that we wanted as black people, but we're getting there. I would start by Ubongo Baba Mangaliso Robert Sobukwe, the men abamvalela ejele, the so-called white Christians abamvalela ejele for years. Mabamkhipha, he was in a bad state of health. My dude of Fred Hampton, he was one of, if you don't know him, he was one of the revolutionaries who was helping kids, doing a breakfast for kids in America, fighting a system of racism and discrimination that came near Christianity. We should say it came under a Christianity, which is now we are not human, we evil and stuff. Shout out to Fred. R.I.P. Return if possible. Don't rest in peace. Shout out to Kalusha Solomon Mahlangu, the first guy to be hanged on national TV in South Africa for resisting system yabelungu, for saying he's not black, he doesn't believe in these things that they were coming with about Jesus and stuff. He was against those things, and then they hang him live on TV. And then my legendary, obvious, my president, Ubaba Steve Biko, the man who, when the colonizers or the Christians, let's call them nice, the Christians, when they came here, they wanted Abu Steve Biko to sell out, to stop talking this black power and stuff, to fall under Jesus and Bakobe, but yeah, they are born in sin, but they didn't want that. So Steve was even killed. He was found inside his prison cell, his jail cell, naked, and then tied. His hands and his feet were tied, were bound. So they're saying he died of a hunger strike. Omamwini Matikizela Mandela, she's the late, but yeah, she contributed a lot on this system. Siyabonga mama. R.I.P. Return if possible. Abelungu abathi rest in peace. Our white people, they're saying rest in peace to these black people that were giving them problems. But we want their spirit back. We are Africans. So we're saying to them, return if possible. R.I.P. Return if possible. So to prove which very this thing was bad, if very they came with good intention, Christ and Jesus and all those things, what were these things? You know, most of people who grew up in this era, I was not born, I was born in the 80s, in this era, they know what does this mean. They see hate, they see them being dehumanized, they know these things. These things, they bring bad, I mean, super crazy bad memories to our people. And then that's why I'm saying, Mina, Africa, it's time to rise up. Now it's time we rise up. There is this thing of people that my black people, they want to fix the Christianity. You know, there's a whole lot of like shit wrong. There's a whole lot of shit wrong. So I'll tell you this: you cannot fix that shit. The only best way you can be good out of a Christianity is to get out of it, or Islam, get out of it. Because these people, they came here, and then let's just talk facts, guys. These people, they came here, they disrespected our cultures, they disrespected our way of lives. they felt bona ukuthi their way of life was much better. It was commanded by God to come and do these things. But anyways, you go to these books zabo, the Bible and the Quran. There's a whole lot of killing in those books. So I wouldn't blame those people that much for doing the evil that they've done. Even today, they're still doing the evil. Because as I said on my last video, there were these so-called Christians who came to me at my shop, at my gallery where I sit, at my place, and then they came in and they have a nerve to tell me, Wuti, I'm worshipping evil. I was born in sin. Motherfucker, in sin. Like, that's the first trap that they catch you with. You are born in sin. I'm not born in sin, man. You know, that's your thing. That's your ways. That's why we can't figure this thing out. Most of us, we have questions about this book. Was Jesus black? Was Jesus white? Did Jesus exist? Did Jesus not exist? Because this thing, whenever they start talking about their book, they're talking about Israel and stuff. And then we had our own things that were happening in Africa. You know, we had kings, we have civilizations, we had all of those things. Then these people, they would come, we come from monkeys. You know, the first theory, but they say we in evolution. So we came from monkeys. Now, the very same people now, they're saying we were created by God. You know, and then Bona, they have a right to make a mistake. Like, first it was monkeys and then we were created. And then now we don't have a right to worship what we want to worship and believe in what we want to believe. And then I will tell you this. Most of African people, especially like South, because I'm in South Africa, most of them, they don't know the origin of our story of a creation. With how did we came to existence as Tina, Africans or black people or whatever, you know, without a Christianity. Because of that's another thing ends with Havant Pageti feel the Christianity, right? Because of they feel we don't have our own way to explain how did we came to existence. I have the story with how did we came to existence, how Africans, how did we had our view on a creation, not this this story as in the sense. So right now I made this video because of all these saviors, my heroes that I just counted. There's a lot. There's Ulilion Gui, there's Obabu O.R. Tambo, shout out to him. There is Steve Biko, there is Malcolm X. I don't like philosophies ga Martin Luther King that much. I don't want to lie to you. I don't like them. Because Martin Luther King, yes, he showed us something good in numbers, the strength. I like that about him. But we should roll over, turn the other cheek and stuff. That was bullshit. No disrespect to MLK, no disrespect, but that was shit. That's why he couldn't collaborate and make a powerful force, Malcolm X, because Malcolm X, believes was not to turn the other cheek, because we've been turning the other cheek. People have been dying by Abu Jim Crow laws. Who's this moron? Where FBI. J. Edgar Hoover. Oh, that was the evil motherfucker. And then Uzuboni Sowiti, the so-called Christian, they know J. Edgar Hoover, the guy who killed Fred Hampton, the guy who killed, who went and murdered Fred Hampton, America. Today, the building, Yama FBI, it's named after that guy, J. Edgar Hoover. I don't know. And then not far from FBI J. Edgar Hoover building, there's a statue of MLK, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King. That's so funny and ironic. You know, they're not far from each other. I was looking at that. Anyways, let's get back on that note. Let's get back to the real program. So this thing, this book, your book, not our book. This is how it works, or this is how it goes. I'm telling you, I'm a facts man. The book was given to the people who have a spirit like a soul of a kid. Kids, if I would put it in the right way, I would say a Bible was a book that was supposed to be given to kids. What do I mean by kids? I mean by The very people who came and told us, Bona, they are saved, they want to save us, they were kids, spiritually. Because you guys, you whites, you Muslims, and you others, about Hindus and others, you have to have a savior. The reason you got to have a savior is because of spirituality is so low in such a way, which is bad. You need someone to teach you, or you need churches so that you can sit there and learn how to treat another human being. You need a savior. You need a person about Christ or about Krishna or all those people to teach you again how to love, how to have a compassion, how to share, but you still miss the picture. We as black people in the whole of Africa, we don't have a savior like Jesus or Muhammad or all of those guys. We don't have that. Because of the secret is this: we are complete spiritually. Let's just to verify my point, show me the place where black people went and killed other race like Chinese or Hindus, or show me, if you can show me that. We don't have that. The only time we were fighting as black people, we were defending what was ours. That was the only time we were fighting, and then the war turned out politically and religiously, because of, you come to my place and then you saying to me, your Lord it's good than my Lord, and then when I refuse, you want to take my land, and when I refuse, you tell your colleagues, Oguti, this is a holy war, these are evil people because they don't want to convert, and we are sent here by the Lord. So you just, more or less, that was a nicest way to justify your evil under your name of your God and Lord. On that note, I think there's a verse I got, if I'm not mistaken, if it's right. I read your book, I did say that last time. It's in, I think it's Luke 19 verse 27 or 28, somewhere there. I'm not sure about that. I think it's somewhere there. And it's a quote, as you Christian like to talk. You quote verses when you talk. There it's Jesus who speaks. In Luke 19 verse 27 or 28, somewhere there, just read somewhere there, you'll find it. Jesus speaks. Jesus says on that verse, bring those that they don't want me to reign over them as their king. Nail them down and kill them or cut off their head. It depends on which version you are reading on it. It's in a translation, uthi unkosi yenu uJesu baletheni bonke laba abangafuni ngiphathe phezu kwabo ezinkosi yabo, niba miseni la phambi kwami nibabulale. So don't you think that was the only reason or the excuse or the way that these other so-called Christian came, and then when we didn't want to accept, because we don't know, even today I don't accept that shit. I did accept it once and then I saw it was shit, so when they saw that, they start to create a holy war. I was once into this shitless thing about this Christianity, and I was into the other one about this Islam. I went to both of these things. I went there. I went to Islam. I did I think 2 years, 3 years I was there. They even give you a name. They call me Abdullah. Abdullah simply means, if I'm still correct, it's a slave of God. That was my name under Islam. People don't know. They know people who know me. I think that's why I'm safe, because of the ancestral spirit came to me and then took me, and then now I'm home, because I was a spiritual hobo. I was moving around and trying to feel the hunger that I have inside, because of these punk ass motherfucking Christians and these Muslims. They told me, Uti, the things that I believe in, they were evil. My ancestors were evil. My fathers and so on, they were evil. So you tend to hate. You ended up hating yourself. You ended up hating your culture, your religion. When I say your religion, we had religions before this punk ass religion. Christianity came. So, and then after I found out with Christianity, what did they do to black people and to the other people in Europe? Because Christianity, not a Europe, when it was introduced, it was nice. People, they didn't accept it. I have a book. It's I think it's titled History of Art. I'll show you the cover one day, and then you can, you know. So on that book, it's the white people writing their history. It's not a black person who says that. They saying they even have pictures of people being cut in half, people being um, tied into horses, all both hands and feet, and then the horses would pull them apart just to enforce the Christianity. So the guys, don't make that this thing came in harmony and in peace. This thing came in blood. This thing came in tears. This thing came in rape. This thing came in robbery. This thing came in spiritual robbery. Even today, people are still confused. That's how this thing has impacted people like us, because we are confused, super confused. We've got questions. Last I was sitting with my people. Abanye they are Christians, abanye they are not. Abanye you can see Guti. They are not, but they're scared. They are not because of they fear Guti, which Jesus is listening, or they're gonna burn in hell or some shit. You know, so you could see in mind policing within my people, their mind or themselves. It's like this is how Christianity has managed to overcome us. We have stopped fighting as a collective, and then we now trying to fight a war as individually. Mind it individually, I'm talking about you are now concerned about you going to heaven alone and your spirituality, and then you don't want to get involved or engage yourself in wars that are authentic, that maybe child abuse isn't. You don't want, you concerned about you, you know, if I can be clean enough, and then Jesus will save me, and then I'll go to heaven. But if you remember, then when these people came, we work as collective, and then we believed in our God as collective. So if you look at the power of a collective, look at a Muslim today. I'm a Muslim, they keep on slandering them by I'm a Christians and media, which by evil, by a Poman and so forth. That's their case anyways. But you look at them, they move as a collective. You know, something that Christianity they can't even do, because you've got I don't know, 35 million churches that have different laws, but you're claiming what you're reading the one book, and then you're claiming what you are a center of spirituality, you're claiming what you know everything, and then all of that's bullshit. You don't know nothing. No one knows spirituality. You know, because Nama Hindus, they've got their own books, but we don't see you going to them, and Nama Christians, and you always uplifting yourselves. Let me light my shit. So the point of this video is this: these stories, they don't make sense. You've made us to abandon our cultures and our way of lives, and then you've made us to take your way of life. Like now we're celebrating. I'm in Africa. There's no snow in South Africa. It's December. It's December in South Africa. It's hot. You know. So now I have to pretend which there's a man with this huge red and white clothes that he's gonna come, and then we don't have those chimneys. It's just a story. But yes, if you could come to South Africa, people they do believe in that story so much. In that 825 is got December, people they buy present, they wish each other Merry Christmas and all those things. And then you can see with this thing is not ours. Ama Easter, we're celebrating. It's always something. There's always a religion as a color before Christianity. Whenever they're celebrating Christian holidays. Uh, let's start by this. Number one, the so-called God of the Bible. He commands these Adam nor Eva, these two people to listen to his laws and to obey him. And then if you look at the story, the way it's so insane, these guys, they didn't get the 10 Commandments as Moses got them. I don't know if they were instilled to respect God, to fear, to love, to hate. I don't know, because these people, they were just made, and then now after you made these people, you want them to obey. I don't know if there was no crime, there was nothing. So how did those people were gonna know which this is right or this is wrong? And then at your place, a Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden is a holy place. It's God's place, Pella. You know, where God made a man in his own kind and all of it. That means God was in control, always in Garden of Eden. And then the snakes come. God, I don't know if he couldn't see it or he was not aware of it. And then the snakes tell them to eat from the tree, whatever, you know the story. And then God comes. And then when God comes, he's angry at these two people. You know, before he's angry at them, he can't find these two people. I know they're gonna try to justify the story. No, it's metaphorically. That's why he couldn't see. He want them to show and it's like, oh, my mom, when he wants me and then he can't find me, he's gonna shout, Smokey, Smokey, where you at? You know, the same thing. Adam, Adam, where are you? He even says, where are you? And then Adam even says it, putting a lap, I am here. Basically, you can't see me when I'm gonna say to you, I am here. And then he gets angry at them. He chases them away. A God within anger. And then after that, he cast the snakes. If I was God, I was going to see the snakes when before it came to the Garden of Eden, before everything happened, I was going to say, what the fuck is going on here? But now the God chased them out. And then they start to live outside of Garden of Eden. And then he started, you read the book, he put two swords of fire that are busy swinging like this for no one to enter back there. You know? And then you go further. And then Adam and Eve had two kids, Cain and this other one. And these two kids, they ended up fighting or jealousy. Can you imagine? There's only 4 of you in the world, and then you have jealousy to your brother. No wonder there's 30 billion of us, and then we have jealous. There's more jealous because God couldn't manage 4 people and couldn't make the other one be jealous. And anyways, he kills his brother, and then after he kills his brother, what happens? God chases him away. He says, I'll put tattoos on you so that everybody can see that you are a killer. I'll put tattoos on you so that everyone can see that you are a killer. And then he chases him out. Fast forward the story, and then the dude come back, the one who killed his brother, Cain or Abel, whatever. And then he come back with a kid and a wife. Then the story there that doesn't make sense already. The story is shit already there. It doesn't make sense. Where did he get a wife? Because the story says in the beginning, or was the beginning of God, but the mankind was already there existing, or was it a lab where they wanted to create a better human being, but the human being had the ways of these other human beings that were outside the camp that we called a Garden of Eden. Anyways, let's go further with these stories. And then you go to the story of I don't know if you know the story. Moses got married to an Ethiopian woman. I think it's on Matthew. I'll find the verse for you. And then after he got married to an Ethiopian woman, a black woman, mind that, and then his siblings were mad at Moses that he married a black woman. Racism is there in the Bible. And then I'm gonna find the verse for you. And then as they were mad at Moses for marrying a black woman, as they said, the Bible says, and then God was angry and mad that he made this other woman to have a disease whereby she was white as a snow. They don't tell you that verse there. You don't see that. Anyways. And then we go further. The power that the Egyptians possess. It is the power that the so-called Messiah went back to Israel and tried to show them these things of walking on water, but they couldn't understand them. That's why they killed him, because they were saying you witchcraft and all of those things. And then you come back to Egypt when Moses was with the pharaohs or the Egyptians. The Egyptians knew this is the moral of the story. The Egyptians knew the power that they possess. That's why they throw snakes. They throw their sticks on the floor, and their sticks became snakes. You know. So that shows you that the pyramid, even from if you can read, you can manage to understand, to overstand that story of the Egyptians throwing the stick on the floor. And it's not the witchcraft; it's something else. It's at the highest level of spirituality. To even now today, the Chinese Taoists and all of those, they do move things without touching them. We don't say it's witchcraft today, we understand it, but then they would say it's witchcraft. Then that's how it shows a level of intelligence the Egyptians were at that time. So building the pyramid was It's kid stuff for those guys. If we could throw a snake on the floor, and then the snake turn into there's a stick turn into a snake. And then you go to, there's a lot to this story, in this book. I'm just going to touch a few Nyana stories. And then I've read the book, and then I haven't even heard one verse whereby Satan, the so-called Satan, went and killed a person. I mean, kill him dead. There's not even one verse I could find. But I had seen many verses where the so-called the Lord has killed people. Not sometimes him killing like a Sodom and Gomorrah. That's another interesting story. He told these guys a lot to get out of Sodom and Gomorrah because he's gonna burn it down because of gays and lesbians and all of those things that were happening that they said they were bad. Right? And once they escape, the Lord's wife turn and look at the burning city, and then it turned into a salt. And then that's where most of the pastors, they stop the story. That's where they leave it, because you have to know how to read the book in order to manipulate people. You leave it there, and then you're gonna dwell deeper on that part, disobeying God. What you don't show God as the person who doesn't have power that is sweet. His power, it's always barbaric, you know. Anyways, he burned the city down. Then Sodom and Gomorrah people died there. And then after that, Lot and his two kids, girls, they find a cave Nyana where they rest a bit. And then Lot is traumatized by what happened to his wife. And then his kids, they start to pour wine, and then he drinks a lot of wine. Read the story. And after he drank the wine, then Lot's kids, they start to have sex with his father, Lot, and then they become pregnant. That's sickening. That's fucked up. We as African, we don't do that. Now people do that. They rape their own kids and daughters because of it's the evil that we read about in your books that introduce our minds into such evil ways or evil deeds that you were doing. We know that you were raping when the so-called missionaries or white settlers or Christians or whatever that the fuck you want to call yourselves, when you came everywhere, you raped guys, you killed guys. And people, if they didn't want to take your philosophy or your God, you make sure that you install fear, you kill them, you ban them, you do whatever that you can do to make sure that you have their resources or you have their lives. Let's stop making this thing it's sweet and nice, because you guys are busy attacking everyone. Tina Bomgomanes attack, you are evil, you're working with evil spirit. But your God doesn't even show you power. And then you go back to his story, who's this other guy? Noah. You know, they're saying people were wicked, and then the whole story, if you can read the whole story, it was to destroy the Nephilim, the giants. You know, and then God, because if I was God, I was just gonna zip the life from those guys, zip it. Because today we believe that each and every individual of us, when we die, God has taken us. But why he couldn't do that to the giants? Why he couldn't just zip their life out and then they just die, as today we do, as it's been happening for a long time? Nah, but what does God do? God floods the whole planet with water. You know, and I don't know if maybe if you read the story, the giants did wrong, or the people were mischievous or going against God, as they say. But what did the animals do? Well, what did those animals do? As I said, you need to take two into the boat and whatever. What did the rest of the animals that were left behind do? What did they do? The story doesn't make sense. It's a story for kids. Oh, they're saying bring all the animals from all over the world into your boat. Man, do you know how big the world is? Do you know how long does a snail takes to walk or to move? Do you know that we have sloths, very slow animals that are living in deeper parts from wherever the story that Israel, or wherever that the story they say took place? And then you have to believe that shit is story. Okay, that's true. And then they say, okay, the rain for 40 days and 40 nights, the whole world was flooded with water. And then after that, the water came down, and then the land was okay again. But they don't tell you nothing about the bodies that were all over the planet. Because if you read the story, and the story is supposed to make sense, there were supposed to be bodies, bones, and all of these carcasses all everywhere on top of the planet. But nah, there was nothing like that. We didn't experience. My ancestors, I know they record a lot of things. They didn't record that. This is not in their records. So why should I believe it? We know today that a flood can happen in one place. Today we have a place called KZN, KwaZulu-Natal. It would have like crazy floods. One place can have floods. One place. And then if I write the story, because I've never been outside the rest of the world, I would say, and then the world was flooded with water. No, your city or your place was flooded with water, not the whole world. But now we Africans, we believe these stories. We believe them. They are real stories. But if I would tell a person to come to me, or someone tells them to go and see a traditional healer for healing and stuff, the way you are so brainwashed and so colonized, you'll be like, no, I don't want to go and do those evil things. And yet you pretend, Gucci, the ones that are happening in the Bible, you do understand. You don't even understand with what's happening in that book. You don't even have an idea. We're just following. We arguing. That's what I'm saying, now. If you wanna fix the so-called Christianity, you can't fix it. Just get the hell out of it. Stay away from that thing. That thing is bad. That thing is evil. Because now I just recently read on this newspaper articles and on social media. If Vatican City, it's willing to pay billions of dollars to the victims of a sexual abuse and a pedophile. It's willing to pay. I don't see Christians rallying and wanting the Pope down, wanting Vatican City to shut down, wanting, because I'm sure that's your heart, that's the capital, that's where everything starts, Rome, Vatican City. And then the funniest thing, the very same people that killed your Messiah, the Romans, they have a book in the Bible whereby it's in the Romans. They kill them, and then they have a book about him, the Romans 10, and Jesus says, who wrote the book? Romans. Who are the Romans? The people who killed him. And then you go deeper to this God. This God, he tells people that he's a jealous God. And if you are made in his image, if he says he's a jealous God, why can't we have each jealous? Why do we only select good things out of him? Why can't we just, we are his children. If you are born at Smith, you become a Smith. If you are born Shabalala, so you follow, or the blood of Shabalala or Smith or John flows within you. It's the same thing as God. And if he's our father, we have his blood, we have everything, his DNA. So which means that we are capable of the evil that he can do. And then you go to this guy, I don't know that one, I forgot his name. That one has so many wives and camels. He was rich. And then the devil went to God and made a deal with God. And like, yeah, this guy worships you because he has all these things. You know, if I could take away all these things, he would stop worshipping you. I think it's Job. I think, if I'm not mistaken. And then God says to the devil, yeah, you can do anything to him, but don't touch his life. Because if I was God, I was going to say to the devil, hey, get the fuck off. Don't even touch him. Don't even think about that. I'm not making deals with you. But there you find God making a deal with the devil. There's a lot of shit going on in this story. And then after that, they're telling us that we're going to go to the heaven. We're going to die and go to heaven. Me personally, I don't want to go there. Because, and I don't want, it's another thing. I don't want no goddamn pastor in my funeral. It's my funeral. Bring the people that I lived with and that I owe and helped and talked about me. I don't want no goddamn pastor or hiree to hold the service about the guy who died 2,000 years ago. I don't want that shit, please. Please, if we are figure on my funeral, anyways, I'm not there. So, this God doesn't have a control of our situations. He takes people, and then he walks them 40 years in the desert. Well, Moses walked with these guys for 40 years in the desert. For 40 years. Man, even if namanje I can say to you walk for 40 years, when you would reach I mean, even they can say your destination is as far as it can, but probably you're gonna reach it. But those guys didn't reach it. Moses, after that, he broke the stick and did what, and then God becomes angry and we're like, you're not gonna see the promised land. The God with mood swings. No, but they're gonna justify it as disobedience. Is it disobedient when you go against God? You know? So you go, you can read a whole lot of these stories, and then when you go to this heaven that they mention, they're saying you don't get sick, you don't get hungry, you don't get tired, you don't age, you just stay the same. So man, tell me if this thing makes sense to you, because the thing that's not heaven to me. That's just some I don't know. It's like me being a robot, because can you imagine this? God will be sitting there and then we're busy singing eternity. Eternity, guys, it's for life. That's why he also says you're gonna burn. The Bible says you're gonna burn in hell. It doesn't say you're gonna die, because a soul cannot die. A soul cannot die. That's why you will burn in hell. Even God himself, he can't get rid of you. He will burn you. That's as far as he can get the punishment that he's gonna give you. And even if you are a parent to your kid, you love your kid so much, you can't burn your kid in hell forever. That's another fear that has been instilled in us, that you're gonna burn in hell forever. But this thing should show you that a soul doesn't die. That means the soul doesn't die. If it was supposed to be said you're gonna burn in hell and die, but it says you're gonna burn in hell. Your soul is gonna burn in hell forever. You know. And then they're saying we're gonna stand there and sing forever, like singing to the Lord forever and ever, singing. Nah, man, I don't want that. I don't want that. The thing that makes us as humans, like Mhlabeni, to enjoy and to appreciate things, it's the scarcity of things, and it's to have the things that we didn't have that made us to appreciate. You were lonely, you found love. You now know what is love, and then you appreciate it. You were broke, you found a job, and now you know the pleasures of having money and buying things for yourself, because you didn't have those. You know, houses, you know, businesses, living good, seeing your kids prospering, not suffering, seeing your you know. But nah, we don't care. We blacks, we've been condemned to not care about that, to care about going there and standing there for eternity and sing for eternity. What else? We don't care about our kids. The only thing is that no, our kids, they have to sort them out and figure them out to see how do they live in this world, because the true wealth and the true, you know, spiritual or whatever, it's in the heaven. But you look at the white people and the other races, how they do it. They have a net wealth, they have businesses, and they have things that they're leaving behind for their kids. You know, because they understand how does the world works. You first manipulate a person, and then you make him or her to police himself, his thought and his spirituality, and then you make him to talk your language. I'm talking their language because of today we have to talk it. But if me now I'm talking to my people, I'm always talking isiZulu Sagithi or isiSotho. I don't do this thing of talking this language. I'm doing it because of now for each genre of people to hear what I'm saying. But this is not the language. I don't know English what it is anyways. And then our people are programmed to think when you're talking English, so good and so nice, you are clever. That's some bullshit, because you'll find a homeless person in America who hasn't even went to school, who doesn't even know how to read and write, but you can talk English. Good one than you. But we in South, we classify people who talk English. That's how further it shows you colonization or self-hate has went. Steve Biko taught us EBCM, Black Consciousness Movement, to be conscious of your black, to love your blackness. I am black and beautiful. Black is not the evil thing. Black is where everything starts. Because even their God, before the first thing he said, let there be light. Because you cannot say let there be light if you were already existing in light, which means their God was already in the darkness. You know, whenever you're going to plant a seed, you plant it on the soil, it goes into the darkness, and then it's going to reach the light. The light is the last thing that most of the things in this world, they reach. You know, even when we're making love or having sex, everything happens in darkness. The woman thingy and the man thingy, whatever happens, it happens in the darkness. And then your sperms go in, and then they go to the womb, and then you impregnate the woman. The whole process is in the darkness. And then once the process it's fine or good enough so that it can reach the light where it can now survive, or it's been given its full abilities to survive here, that's when you give birth. But everything starts from the darkness. You know, we have the night. The night is not an evil thing. The night, it's where for us, as because we have 24 hours. You have a soul, you have a body. So 12 hours you're using your body, you work, you do all of these things, and then you have to go to bed another 12 hours to sleep, because now it's a time for a soul. A soul, it doesn't have boundaries, it moves through dimensions. That's when we can go and talk to our ancestors, and talk to our loved ones, and talk to our friends who are still alive, visit places that we you know, because that's how the souls, you, the original you, moves. But now we have been made not to give a soul a chance. That's why we're having stress and depression and all of those things, because it's 24 hours. Yeah. Now we're having cities that they don't sleep. What the fuck? Cities that they don't sleep. But I don't see Christians vouching and fighting against that. Nah. You always are taking people that you can't reach. Yeah, look at this Beyonce, it's Satanism, and Jay-Z Satanism. Have you talked to do you know this guy's views? This guy is doing what he wants to do, and you're not the one to tell him what to do. Your beliefs are your beliefs, so just keep it to yourself. You know. So this is not my last video anyways. I'm still gonna do another video. This one video, I'm gonna tell you how we as African believe the origin, the beginning story of us. There's a whole lot, there's not one, but I'm going to share with you the one that has been shared by most of the cultures. It's similar, you know, it's kind of like it's a synchronicity. We all have the same stories. But I'm just saying, what you guys, Christianity, should check that book. I don't want to worship a God who, when he has problems with people, if I'm God and I have problems with people, I'm just going to change their hearts. Look at the story Saga Jericho. The Jericho, they circle the town, and then they blow the whistles, and then they go there and kill everyone. If God made the whole world, you could find a promised land for your people where your people can sit and have a nice place. This is your place. But now you have to direct people to go to a certain place to kill other people. And then you saying these other people are hidden, they have moved away from you. Hey guys, this thing doesn't make sense. You know. So that's why most of the guys who are doing this, who are into these things, they ended up themselves getting stuck and confused. I know, Foot, you're gonna try and do videos about me and saying, yeah, this guy is evil, he's moving people away from God and yada yada. Yeah, they should move because of you are moving people away from their own things, under the brainwash that you're telling them that they are evil and stuff. So when I'm saying it in Nyazi, you're gonna say it's evil. Under your God, it's evil, but under my God, umkhulukhulu and umvelinganga nonomkhubulwane, it is a good thing. People should return to their African gods. They are waiting for your worships. They are waiting for their songs. They have your blessing. They have the blessing that they are supposed to give you as a nation. But now you don't want to worship them. You're busy worshiping a God. And guys, I'm gonna do another video about gods. Peace. Emakhosini Khatebo Phungane makhulukhulu ngelengelo umashiya amahle. Ngibonga wena Mangwenya salukazi singiphethe salukazi sendoda. Ngibonge wena Bhubesi indoda ebonga kubaleka abathakathi. Ngibonge wena Mpi yakhe indoda elwa impi iziqede. Makhosi.